Why is family governance important to you?
Um, I think that when families who have developed and are a bit further along in understanding governance, both in family and business, get some clarity around the differences and how those two can kind of be jet fuel for the family enterprise to be successful. It's fantastic. I think the you get a great education program. Shareholders know what they're supposed to do and not do, and what's the space that the board, the governing board of the business plays in versus the family. How do we come together on those overlaps? I think just that clarity is so helpful. What about you?
Yeah. I I have a family that I worked with many years ago, and we created, as we often do, a task force of volunteers to kind of figure out what the family governance structure was going to look for this family. There was, I don't know, 8 owners in one generation. There was 3 or 4 next gens working in the business. We had a family of, 35 to 40 when you got the whole group together. So getting to have some significant size, lots of different roles. So we said, all right, who wants to tackle this family governance thing? And we actually had fair number of next gens and a couple of the partners volunteer and no spouses. And so we actually reached out to a couple spouses and said, of the leading gen, and said, would you be part of this? And a couple of them said, well, if you think it would be helpful, but I don't really understand what we're doing here. So we started down the path of defining what the family council was going to do and why it was there and how it was going to influence the family and how they, kind of elected themselves and grew. And her statement at the end was so powerful. She said, and she used to be a bankruptcy attorney in her former professional life. And she said,
Oh
I've
well.
watched many families tear each other apart at the other end. And it didn't occur to me that structure the right point in their evolution would have been helpful to them. And I really get it now. And I was very skeptical at the beginning. I didn't understand family governance from a lawyer's perspective. It didn't make any sense to me. It didn't have anything to do with shareholders agreements or the structure we know that owners and managers need. But it really makes sense now. Making space for the family to have a voice that's the appropriate place. We talk about appropriate voice and limited choice. Like those are
Hmm.
paired up. Teach people what that means. It's really powerful. I mean, it's really, I think, also the glue that helps make a family
Yeah.
sticky as we end up with folks spread all over the countryside with very different or limited sometimes emotional connections to the family enterprise.